case playing out in the city of Philadelphia. Yes, another one. This one involves Dr. Kermit Gosnell. He's accused of causing the deaths of 7 live babies and 1 woman while performing late-term abortions. He's pleaded not guilty. The details in this case are just revolting. That he severed the spines of live babies with scissors. I mean, it's just a horrific scene, and the evidence against him. And what sort of brought this story into the mainstream this week was that there was a column in USA Today by Kirsten Powers who argued that the horror of the Gosnell case should be front page news. She argued that none of the major newspapers, the Washington Post and New York Times, have done much with the story, and that the networks have not done much with this. And at least according to conservatives claim that this is all because of the liberal media. The liberal media doesn't want to cover an abortion doctor who did things the wrong way. Daniel Marins, what do you make of it?
Well, David, I certainly don't think it's a case of conspiracy on the part of the liberal media, but it certainly may be a case of benign neglect in terms of just not finding and seeking out this story. I mean, it is just so outrageous. It was essentially, even if you're someone who is pro-choice to the utmost degree, and I consider myself to be that way, and I consider the fact that something like Dr. Gosnell's clinic existing may be in part due to lack of access to some of these practices in a more sanitary, affordable setting for those who want it, particularly in some, it sounds like, some urban environments. But I think that, yeah, I mean, this is pretty shocking on all levels, and I think Connor Friedersdorf in The Atlantic made a compelling case that this should be a front page story. It's not just the rampant abuse, sort of the fact of sort of killing the babies after they're already alive, or the fact that these things were done in unsanitary fashions. It was the treatment of the women that came in. The fact that a woman, apparently, according to the grand jury report, that women would come in, they would be sedated by untrained professionals, including at one point a 15-year-old who was working in the clinic. They would sometimes abort their babies and give birth into toilets while they waited to see Dr. Gosnell for hours, as some, again, untrained medical professionals comforted them or helped them through that process. The remains of the babies were not properly disposed of. They were kept on hand, so that was unsanitary. Equipment that was used to abort the babies was also used to address the medical needs of women who were served there, including orally to provide air and water for women in their mouths. So again, that would be fetal remains and blood from the tubes being used inside the women patients' mouths. And of course, there was rampant and pervasive racism in terms of the treatment of the women at the clinic. Okay? If Dr. Gosnell found out that a white woman came in for an abortion or for medical treatment, then she would be addressed by the doctor herself right away in the one clean and sanitary office in the clinic, and that was Dr. Gosnell's own office. Okay? So that was outrageous. And then, of course, there's the case of governmental neglect, which is that the Pennsylvania Department of Health had evidence of this going a couple years back. Oh, and I should add one more thing, which is that apparently a woman who went into septic shock, or that rather, well, there were multiple women that suffered tremendous bodily harm. There was a woman who suffered septic shock from one of the abortions performed and had to have a hysterectomy emergency right away. Abortions improperly performed where there had to be follow-up procedures at hospitals. And there was an undocumented Nepalese woman named, with the last name Mangar, Karnamaya Mangar, who her staff, she was apparently it appears, given too much anesthesia, and was essentially killed under their care due to medical malpractice. Now, and then there was just the case of the governmental neglect, that the Pennsylvania State Department of Health knew about this and did not properly act. And of course, the Pennsylvania Department higher up, the Pennsylvania State Department of State could have overruled the rulings of the health department and acted to intervene.